All right, so this is the place where we have end our session, or like by discussing about this relationship in a database. So we discuss about one-to-one relationship and how to recognize that. And we talk about one-to-many relationship and how to recognize it. And we discuss about many-to-many relationship as well, right? And how to recognize that. So when it comes to the this one-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-many, we need to represent this particular relationship in our Access database as well, right? So it is talking now. Today, we have to talk about creating relational database using database management system software, right? So for that, they have given us this student and marks table to be created. So as I remember, we create the student table in our database, which we used or which we created the last time we met, right? So we are going to create the marks table and see how these relationships are going to be worked. And it only illustrates a one-to-many relationship in between. We'll try to create the one-to-one as well as many-to-many relationship as well, right? Then we can go for the creating forms and all these things. Okay, so I have asked you to write down the things, the table structure, the tables regarding many-to-many relationship, as I remember, as the last part. So today I'm going to go by creating another table and setting our relationship as many-to-many, right? Okay, so wait, I will take our Access file. It is there on my desktop. So yeah, school details is the one we used last week, not last week, actually, the last time that we met. And anyone who is participating from the Nanapatha Institute, who is here? Yes, anyone from Nanapatha Institute? Yasuru and Litara, okay. It's, yeah. And you two, Putala, were you two at the class that we had last Friday? All right. So the previous recordings are there in the website, right? So I'll show you the place. Right, in StarLabs, I have done some minor changes. Yeah, litira me දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ යන්න ඕනේ Nanapatha recording නෙවෙයි. StarLabs recording වලට. StarLabs recording වල මම page එක චුට්ටක් වෙනස් කරා. පොඩි experiment එකක් කරා. Right, then page එකෙන් page එකට player එක තියෙන්නේ. So from here you have to click on the page that you are going to refer. Right, then ඔයගොල්ලෝ grade 11 හින්දා grade 11 EM English medium කියන එක click කරන්න. So your page will be loaded. එතන මම දාලා තිනවා grade 10 2021 and grade 11 2022 කියලා. Right here මේ 25 වෙනිදාට වෙනකම් කරලා තියෙන දේවල් ටික step by step තියෙනවා. එතකොට පුතාලා දෙන්න මෙන්න මේ recording එක බැලුවා නම් හරි. Right? අපි මේ 11 වෙනිදා ඉඳලා පටන් අරගෙන තියෙන database කරන්න. So 11 18 25 කියන ටිකෙන් 25 බැලුවා නම් හරි. අපි 11 18 අපි cover කරුණා මේ Nanapatha Institute එකේ. Right, so go through the 25th and you can refer our today recording again, so you will be having a good sense about that, right? Okay. All right. All right. No worries. No worries. Right. So here we have already created the student info one. So we have some SID, name, address, date of birth, gender, and yeah, we have created some CID and the fee, right? So now what I'm going to do is, now you remember why did I create the CID? CID stands for the class ID. But we don't have a class table so far. So I'm going to create a class table. Now you can remember this student table, or the table which we were entering the data at the very first time, was given when we are creating the database, right? So just after we create and save it, this particular interface was there with a small table, right? So that table, we went to the design view and we typed the field names that we want, and we have choose the data type which was there, and we assigned the primary key and we saved it, right? Then we went to the data sheet view and we entered 3 particular data, right? And now what I'm doing is I'm going to create another table which is going to show you about the classes, right, where these students are going to be, right? So here I'm creating another table. To create another table, like this design view or datasheet view will not allow us to create a new table. To create a new table, we need to use the create tab, right? So the create tab, and I'm creating a new table using this, right? So I click on this. There I got a second table, and as previously, they have created the table for us. So ID is there as the first column. So we can change these things. We can move to the design view. Then they are asking us to save the table, and I'm going to save this as class table and say okay. So I have a CID, and I take CID as a short text, and CName to indicate the class name. And I'm going to give you the C teacher, the class teacher. Right? So class teacher is going to be, this is her teacher's name. I'll take it short text as it is. And I have made the CID as the primary key. It's automatically took the CID as primary key. If you want to change this into another, what are we going to do? We just click on this primary key. Then the primary key is gone. So now I can choose any field and make it as a primary key. Right now, I'll make this as a primary key. So CID will become a primary key. Now, if you click on the CName and press the primary key button, so it will change the primary key level, right? I can right click and put the primary key one as well, right? So that will be selecting, like whatever the field that we are selecting is going to become a primary key. Right. So now we got 2 tables, which is student table. It is in this tab, and the class table. It is in this tab. So if I move to the class tables design in view, I'm going to save the table or the structure. Now we are in the class table. So we have CID, CNAME, and teacher. In student info, we have used C001, C002, and C003 as the CIDs for these 3 students, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to define this C001 class name. I'm going to take 10A, and class teacher's name, I take it as Renuka. And C002, 10B, class teacher's name Nihal. C003, I'll take this as 10C. I'll take Ramya. Okay, so I have created 3 class IDs and I have given 3 names and 3 class teachers, and I'm going to save that. So we got 2 tables with data now. Now, are you clear with that, people? How we create the class table? Is that clear? Yeah, Ravindu, what do you want me to repeat? Like go through the entire thing? Ravindu, is it the entire thing that you need to have, or like any specific part? Ravindu, can you hear me? Oh, I think Ravindu is disconnected. Yeah, how about others? Is it okay, people? Okay, right. So now we are going to create the relationship, right? So how we are going to create the relationship? Now we have 2 tables. We have 2 tables. And I'm going to go to the database tool tab here, the database tools, right? And here, I'm going to choose the relationships command, right? Now we are going to create the relationship as one-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-many. And before I go to the relationships, how about my 2 classes, people? So S001 student is in C001 class. S002 student is in C002 class. And S003 student is there in C003 class. Right? So that means each and every student are in 3 separate class. So here we can assume that one student is inside only one class, right? So there can be possibilities that that particular class can have many students, but according to the detail given here, for the moment, one particular student is in a one particular class, and one class contains only one student again. Right? So we are going to create the relationship when we have that kind of details. So here we go. I'm clicking on the relationships. So when I click in on the relationship, I have given a new tab called relationships and a small window which shows the what we call the tables, right? And what are we going to do is first we have to add these things, right? So I'm adding the class table, so it will appear, and I'm adding the student table. I'm sorry, student info table. Right, so these two tables are there. So student info table, it contains many things, and class info table, it contains only 3 things: CID, CNAME, and CTeacher. So our need is creating a relationship in between these two tables. Now, when we are discussing the relationships, we discuss about the fields which help us to create the relationships. Who helps us to create the relationships, people? Which keys are helping us to create the relationships? Yes. Very good, Samitu. It's the primary key and the foreign key is helping us to create the relationship in between tables. Now, if you take these two tables, what are the primary keys of these tables? What is the primary key of the class table? It's the CID. Yes, very good. What is the primary key of the student table? Yes, Osanda, that is SID. And who has the foreign key? And what is that foreign key? Yes, who has the foreign key and what is the foreign key? Which table contains a foreign key and what is that foreign key? Yes, people, take a guess, take a guess. Yes. People are struggling, it seems. Now, who can be a foreign key? Only a primary key has the ability of becoming a foreign key. Now, when a primary key field is going to become a foreign key, when that same primary key is used in another table as a normal field, and which primary key acts as a normal field on the other table. Now you said there are two primary keys, which is SID and CID. Out of these two, which primary key acts as a normal field in another table? Yes, that's right, Sandu. That's right, Osandal. It's the CID, which acts as a foreign key when the CID stays inside the student info table. Right? So class table has a CID as its primary key. And when CID is there in the student table, this is a foreign key. So the relationship will be created in between this CID and this CID. Right? And now the problem is how we are going to create the relationship. It is easy. So we choose the primary key, CID, we choose this. And from there you click and drag it to this, towards this CID. And release. Hold on a second, people. Yeah, sorry for that. And how we get this little window, we take a particular primary key of a table and we are dragging it towards the foreign key. So CID is over here. When we are releasing the mouse button, I'm still clicking my mouse button. So I'm releasing the mouse button now. So it gives us this particular window. So this window is creating the relationship in between these two, right? So how it says to be, the CID from the class table are going to relate with the CID of the student table, right? And I can click this saying enforce referential integrity, that will create the relationship solid, and it will say like you can't have any entry which does not exist on the other table, right? That means you can't provide a CID which is not there in the class table, as well as you cannot work with a student ID and give a particular class ID which is not existing in the class table, right? So I enforce referential integrity. That is what it does. එතනදි කරන්නේ ඔයා student info table එකේ entry එකක් යනකොට class ID එකට දෙන්න හදනවා නම් student table එකේ නැති class table එකේ නැති class ID එකක්, it's going to give you an error message, right? So now if I want, I can choose this cascade update related fields, cascade delete related records, right? එහෙම කරොත් වෙන්නේ if we are going to delete something, it's going to alert us there are related fields in the other table. First delete those and come and delete this skill, right? It is not that me moment එකට අපිට ලොකුවට අපි pressure කරන්නේ නැහැ. So we just tick on enforce referential integrity and we click create. Hold on, what is that? The database engine could not lock tables info because it is already in use by another person or process. Yes. Yeah, I will be getting this because my student and class tables are open. So I have to close this first, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to close it. And for the class table, I'm going to close that too. Now I'm going to do that again. Relationship in between class and CID. Right. So let's have these two as well. And I'm going to say create. Now it creates a relationship which indicates one to many. Right. So the relationship that it creates here is like one CID has many students in the form, right? So if we want to change this into a one-to-one, we have to do the changes in the table formats, which we are not going to do because like it is something up to a advanced formats that advanced things that we need to do, right? So we are just seeing how the relationship can be made in between these two tables, right? So to make this as one-to-one, to make this as many-to-many, we have to change the things accordingly for us to have the relationship in between tables as one-to-one or one-to-many, right? Okay, people, is that clear how to create a particular relationship? So we need the foreign key should be clearly defined. So the primary key and the foreign key is going to be created in between. Okay. Right. All right, let me give a try to the student info table to change this as a one-to-one. The design view on the CIT. Yeah, if I change this indexed one years duplicates, okay, onto years no duplicates, and save it, and goes to the relationship, deleting the relationship. So in case if you want to delete the relationship, you can just click on the relationship, this particular line, and I can click delete, say it is years. Okay, and again it says this is open, so we can't delete it. So let's save it, and I'm going to close it. And here I'm going to delete this. Yes. So yeah, now you can see my relationship is 1-to-1, right? So that is how you can make a 1-to-1 relationship, right? So the change that I have done here, it's a little bit advanced, not that advanced, right? I have opened the student table where it contains the foreign key, and I go to the design view and I select the foreign key field. Then here under the field properties, there is something called this indexed, this particular one. And normally it is on years duplicate okay position. But I made it as years no duplicate. So that means indexed means should be some value and can be act as a foreign key. Indexed key කියන්නේ ඒකයි. ඒතර foreign key එක තියෙනකොට ඒකේ values duplicate කරන්න පුළුවන් කියලා තිබ්බොත් we are getting a one to many relationship. If we say years no duplicates, we are going to have a relationship as 1-to-1, right? So I change it as years no duplicates. So then I made the relationship. So it is given me a 1-to-1 relationship like this, 1-to-1. So I create it. So now it is 1-to-1. Okay, is that clear, people? Some additional stuff, but you have seen how 1-to-1 has happened. All right. Okay, so let's move forward. Now we have to see what's happened when this relationship is there, right? So yeah, so let me 1-to-1 not get luck name. Yes. So I have built up the relationship, right? So let us go to the data sheet view, right? Now hold on. Now I am deleting this relationship again, and I'm going to the student info, and I'm going to enter a new student, S004. I'll take Asha, Homagama. I'll take some leave and take this as female. And now I'm going to enter a value over here saying say C004. And I'll make this as 300. So I was not prevented to put C004. Now, if I open the class table, you can see I don't have a class called C004. right? I don't have a class called C004, but this allows me to add the class C004, right? And now I am deleting this record for you to show something. I'm deleting the record. So now I will go to the relationship and create in my relationship. So it is created as a one-to-one. So from the class table, it is CID. From the student table, it is CID again. So I'm creating, so the relationship is created. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put S004. Asha. Umagama. Some date. I'll make this as female. I'll give C004. I'll put 400 and I'll press enter. Hold on. They allow me to put C004. Why was that? I haven't saved this. Yeah. I'm not supposed to put this. I shouldn't be given the authority to put it. No. Hold on. I think it is because I haven't enforced. Yes, I haven't enforced referential integrity. Let me delete this again. And I'll go to the relationship. I'm going to edit the relationship. So once I click it, I will be getting a new tab. So through that, I can edit. I say enforce referential integrity, right? And I take cascades as well. Then say okay. Oh, yes. These things need to be closed before that. So enforce referential integrity and cascade and say okay. All right. So now it says one-to-one. Right. So now I'm start opening my student table and I'm going to say 004 Asha Omagama and some date. Female C004 and 400. Now I'm getting a problem. What it says, you cannot add or change a record because a related record is required in the table class. Look at what it says. You cannot add or change a record because a related record is required in table class. Why this is happening? I am putting a C004, which is not there in the class table. Class table is just having only 3 classes. If I add a class C004 over here and saying it is as 10D, and let's say the class teacher name is Vijit, and I'm saving it. Let's see now whether it is permit us to do. Yes, it is permitting us to do. People, did you got the idea? Class table එකේ class එක enter වෙලා නැති වෙලාවේදී මට මෙයා මෙතනින් මේ record එක දාන්න දුන්නේ නැහැ. So it prevents us doing those kind of errors. Right? The class එකේ එහෙම එකක් තිබුණොත් විතරයි එයා අපිට මේක දාන්න දෙන්නේ. Right? And again, once we had the relationship, there were some changes over here as well. Can you see? We can click on this plus sign. We are getting a plus sign. And if I click on that plus sign, it shows me the related record. S001, class name is 10A. It's Renuka are the one which related to this C001 field. Right, so you can close that as well. S002, 10B Nihal. Right, so having a relationship will give you that kind of facilities. Right, even if you are going to the class table, since this is one-to-one, you can open it and see what are the student details of this class. So according to this relationship, one class is having just one student. If I make the relationship as one-to-many, then it shows that relationship in between. Right, so let me close this, close these two, and let me delete this relationship, and let me change our CID as a column which can have the duplicates. They are the duplicates okay unot vitarai. Apita relationship එක one-to-many කරගන්න පුළුවන්. Right, so I am saving this, I'm closing it, and now I am creating the relationship. So it is happening as one-to-many, so I enforce referential integrity, and I am say create. So now it is one-to-many. Right, so now I'm going to the student info table, and I'm going to do some changes over here. I'm going to make this class as C001. I'm going to make this as, no, I'm going to put another student S005. Sham Moratua. Some date. I'm going to say this is from C004. And I'll take fee as 500. Oh, that's too much. Right, and I'm saving it. And now I'm closing this. So the relationship happens as one-to-many. I'm opening it. In the student table, I won't be able to see that plus sign. Can you? Look at this. I don't have the expanding ability. But if I open the class table, see it has. And once I open it, C001, it has two records. Can you see that? C001 has two students now. It is because in the student info table, I have changed this as C001 and this as C001. So my class table shows there are two students in this class, C001. And if you take the C004, again, there are two students. And we don't have any student under C002, so it is empty. C003, there is only one. So likewise, we can have these facilities when we are having the relationship in between the tables. Okay, is that clear, everyone? How to create the relationship and what are the benefits out of it? All right. All right, now let's move to the textbooks and see what else we are going to learn. So when we are creating a many-to-many relationship, it creates like this, right? So in the same way, they create a new table to have the many-to-many relationship, right? And relationships will be flow to the same table from two different sides as many-to-many. Right, so moving forward, it says creating relational database using database management software. That is what we are doing. So we didn't create the student and marks. Instead of that, we create student and class. We have built up a relationship in between tables, right? And we have seen this as well. Under one particular field, we can have the expanded details. Now we are going to talk about how to create a form to enter and display the data. Now, this is much important on the part of database administrator. Database admin කරන කෙනෙකුට නැත්නම් database එක බලා ගන්න කෙනාට ප්‍රධාන වගකීම තියෙන කෙනාට මේ form එක හරි වැදගත්. වැදගත් එයාට නෙවෙයි ඇත්තටම form එකත් එක්ක වැඩ කරන්න ඉන්න අනිත් database එකත් එක්ක වැඩ කරන්න ඉන්න අනිත් අයට දෙන්න. Right, because database administrator is not allowing others to interact with the database directly. Now we are having the details, we are adding the details onto these things, means we are interacting with the database directly. But database administrator does not allow anyone else to add those details. So instead of that, instead of allowing the tables to be modified directly, database administrator can create the forms and allow the user or the programmers to add the data through those programs or through those forms without interacting with the tables directly. Right? That is why form is there. And we can design a form using the create tab as well. Right? So as it shows here, see, these kind of forms can be created, right? And we can change the details of a form using this operation bar or the navigation bar, right? So to build a form, you can go for the form design, right? We have to use the existing fields and we have to take the tables and we have to take the things that we want, right? So it is not by only one table that we can have. We can have the records from many different tables, right? And we can, the form view can be something like this, right? Let's create some forms and see how the things are going to happen, right? And this, yeah, there is something called control wizard. We will come to that point, how the things are going to happen. Right, so I'm going to the database. I'm going to create, and I'll click on the form. Right, so when you click on the form, it automatically brings us this particular form. This is regarding the class table. Right, so if I click create, right, so in the form designing, we can have this, and we can have any particular forms that we want, like any particular fields that we want over here, right? So either we can create a form directly using the table, right? That is by going to the create tab and going to the form, clicking on the form, or else you can go with the query wizard, right? And take this form as a empty one and we can create it, right? So to create this, we have to go for the form design, arrangement is there, formatting is there. So in form design, you can use this particular one, add existing fields. So once I click that, there is this window opening at the right hand side of your window, and there it has a link called show all tables. Right, here we go. The class table is there, the student info table is there, the two tables that we have created. Right, it's a little bit small comparatively. Now you can see, if I click on the plus mark of this class table, I can take these fields, I can drag these fields onto the form. Right, so here we go. Right, so the CID is given. So there is a label called CID is here. So the text box which contains the CID, the actual CID, the value will be here. Right, we can change the sizes accordingly. Right, and I'll take CNAME. Right, so CNAME is also can be arranged from here to here. Now, you take it from the ash box it has. So this ash dot or the ash square will allow you to arrange the things. Right, so I can take CNAME, right, we place it accordingly. Right, so CNAME is there, CID is there. We can take CTeacher if we want, right? Or else we can add something from the student info as well. Right, so SNAME is here. All right, so CNAME is moved, SNAME is moved. all are in position. We can take fee as well. Like this. Okay, so now we can see what we have done. Right now we are in the view of design in view. If you want to go to the form view, this is the form view that we have created. So it shows us the relevant records, people. C001 10A saman $500, right? So the CID is C001, right? So if I expand the things, the C name is 10A, which is correct, 10A. And a student there, it is Saman, right? Right, so the fee is 500. If I move forward, it shows us the other one as well, C001 10A Nimal. Right, C003 10C Nirosha, C004 10D Arosha, and C004 10D Sham. Right, so from these controls, we can move here and there. From this, we can come to the very first one. From this, we can come to the very last one. Right, C1 and C4. Right, so likewise, we can handle the forms. Now, the beauty of having a single form for a single table. The මෙතනදී අපි කරේ fields කීපයක් එකතු කරලා form එකක් හදපෙකනේ. The මෙතන form එක තියෙන්නේ, it is just for the relevant fields, CID, CNAME, CTeacher. ඒකේ එයාට relate වෙලා ඉන්න C001 ට relate වෙලා ඉන්න tables ටික පෙන්නනවා. Right? In this kind of a one, we can use this button called new blank record. So once we click that, we will be given the chance to add a record over here. Right? And if I click on the CID and press that new one, it is asking us to apply the things over here again. Tesandu Tesandu online එකකින් insert කරන්න පුළුවන්. Tesandu අහන්න මේ වගේ තැනකින්ද නැත්නම් online application එකක් පාවිච්චි කරලාද? online application එකක් පාවිච්චි කරනවා නම් Tesandu ඔයා online application එකක් මුලින් configure කරගන්න ඕනේ පුතේ. database එකක් එක්ක මොකක් හරි PHP වගේ language එකක් පාවිච්චි කරලා එම fix කරගෙන ඉන්න ඕනේ. Right? Now what I am saying is I can add a new record through here as well. Right? So the මෙතන records 4ක් තියෙනවනේ. දැන් මම අලුත් record එක ගත්තම this is going to be my new record. Careful, Susu.
I'm here.
So I have taken the form view. So I'm going to give a new line over here. So far, what are the things that I have? I have C1 to C4. Then my method in දෙනවා.
I know it's
Right, I'm going to give, I'm sorry, not from here, from here. I'm going to give C005, C name 10E, C teacher, I'll give Sarah. Right. And I'm not going to put the SIDs. Right. So let's see what happens. So now I'm having this particular record over here as well. And I'll close this and take it. And I got the new record called Sarat over here. So I input that from this form. Right? This form was created using the class table. අපි class එක select කරලා තියෙනකොට create ගිහිල්ලා forms දුන්නම class එකට දාලා form එකක් තමයි ආවේ. Likewise, when we select the student info and we create the form, it creates a form for a student info directly. Right? එතකොට මෙතනින් පුළුවන් මේකේ මේ පහළ controls ටික පාවිච්චි කරලා පුළුවන්. We can see what are these students, as well as we can insert a new student detail from here as well. Okay, people, is that clear? What happens with the forms? Yes, everyone? Yes, everyone. How about it? Right. Okay, so I'm going to close these things before I move to the next one. Right, so let's move and see what else we are going to have. All right, and we can have the very same form with these buttons. right? We didn't have a form with buttons, right? So we can create a form with the buttons. So like, let's take an example for the class one. I'm creating a form, right? And I'm going to add a button. It is right over here, right? So there are some controls in this particular point, right? So this indicates a button. So I can click that and I can place the button. If I place my button right over here, so then it will ask what kind of a button is this? Is it a record navigation one? Record navigate කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ එකින් එකට අරගෙන යන එකක්. Right? So the next එකට find record, going to first record kind of things are there. Right? So the things that you can find at the bottom part right over here. And there are some more operations, record operations: add new record, delete a record, duplicate a record, print a record, save, undo, form operations, report operations. So I'm going to take a record operation. I'm going to add new record. I'm going to choose add new record. And I'm going to say next. So it will ask what kind of a text that we are going to have here. අපිට මෙතනින් icon එකක් දෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. Right? එතන මෙන්න මෙතන මේ පුංචි මෙතන මෙයා හැදෙනවා. මෙතන change pencil එක change කරාම this icon happens like this. If go to new, happens like this. Or else I can put a text, add record or add. If I change this as add, it will change as add. Right? Then likewise, I can go to the next by giving a name. Right? And this is, of course, we don't need to change. We can left it as command 13 and we can finish. So here I go. The add button is there. Right? The make Suhara. Right? So we got the add button and I'm going to take another. And for that, I'm going to take delete record. And put next. And I'm going to take the name as delete. And click next. It is taken as command 21. So I'll keep it like that. Right now, if I move to the form view, now I got two buttons, right? The C001 කියන record එක මට ඕන delete කරන්න පුළුවන්. Right? And I can move to the other ones. Then C001 කියන එක අපි delete කරන්න බලමු from this delete button. Delete කරන්න කිව්වම error message එකක් එනවා. Error message එක එන්නේ අපි අර relationship හදනකොට කිව්වනේ මේ වගේ අතර relationship එක හරියට තියාගන්න ඕනේ, connections බලන්න ඕනේ කියලා. It says it's not an error message, it's kind of a warning message. Relationship that specified cascading delete are about to cause one record in this table along with related records in the related table to be deleted. Are you sure you want to delete these records? and then to no කියලා දෙනවා. දැන් මම yes කියලා දුන්නොත් වෙන දේ තමයි when I'm going to delete this C001 කියන්නේ මගේ class එක delete වෙනවා. At the same time, the students who are in the class, Saman and Nimal, they are going to delete as well. Right? ඒක තමයි අපි මෙතන මේ relationships දෙනකොට, right? මේක relationships දෙනකොට මෙන්න මෙතන අපි දැම්ම නේද ticks දෙකක්. Cascade update related fields, cascade delete related fields. එතකොට ඒක මෙන්න මේ third option එක තමයි දැන් ඔය වැඩ කරන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ එක්කෙනෙක් delete කරනකොට එයාට related දේවල් delete වෙනවා. එතකොට මෙතන එක්කෙනෙක් update කරනකොට එයාට related දේවලුත් update වෙන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් මේ අපි දීලා තියෙන points දෙකත් එක්ක. Right? මෙහෙම කරාම වාසිත් තියෙනවා අවාසිත් තියෙනවා. We got both benefits and advantages and disadvantages, right? Like if we are deleting the class only and trying to assign the student to a different class, if the cascade deleting is there, අපිට students ලව change කරන්න කලින් ඒගොල්ලෝ delete වෙලා යන්න පුළුවන්, right? Those are some advanced techniques, right? So because of that, I'll delete this C002. It doesn't have anything related to the student table. So if I press delete, oh, why is that? Yeah. Select if you click yes, you won't be able to undo this delete operation. Are you sure you want to delete this record? So I'll say yes. So now I don't have a C002. Class table open karama, I don't have C002. It's C001, C003, 4 and 5 is there. Right? Did you got that? What happened when we are deleting things? Man දැන් ඒතර delete කරේ delete button එක use කළා. Right? So I can take a new one and add a new one. ගිහලා මට add කරන්නත් පුළුවන්. කලින් නම් නිකම්ම add වුණානේ. add button එක තිබ්බම it makes sense. Right? C006 second no and let's say it's 10F class teacher Misha, and I can click it, right? So I have to close the class table and take it again to see the changes. So there it goes. Okay, people, is that clear? Everyone? Right. Okay. So now you know how to add a command button, and you can view and do all these changes from the form view if you really need to. So the next one is about creating a query, designing a query to get information. Right? Now, query is the most frequent thing that we are using to request things from a database. Right? Then database we have two tables. Let me close these things. I'll take the student table. So we have two tables. And if we want to choose the student ID, student name, and their class name, only the class name together, still we don't know a way to do it. Neither student ge SID ekai saman nimal nirosh asha sham කියන කට්ටියගේ class name එකයි SID column එකයි S name column එකයි මේ table එකෙන් මෙන්න මේ relevant class name එකයි තෝරලා ගන්න ඕන නම් we can use a query, right? So the query designing is also given the chance in the create tab, right? So you can go to the create, you can click on the query design, select the necessary tables and choose the necessary fields, and you can run the query, right? So we can do that going to the create table, and queries are over here, right? So what was the way they asked you to go? It is the query design. Yes, it is a query design. So you can go for the query design, and in the query design they are asking what kind of table that you are going to use. I need both the tables, class and student table. So I add both the tables just by double clicking on it. Then what we can do is we can choose the fields what we want right over here. Right, so how we are going to choose the fields? We can drag and drop, right? Or else we can choose from here as well. For some reason these fonts are bigger in here. I don't know why they have done something like that, right? However, I can take the names from here. I'm taking SID, S name, and the C name. Right, so it indicates from which table that I'm going to have these things. Right, so my query is going to show me SID, S name, and C name. That means student ID, student name, and class name as an output. So once I'm done with this, I can run it. So see, my query is giving me only those fields. So S001 Saman 10A, S002 Nimal 10A, likewise. So those details are from these two tables, but it is according to our query that we were asking. Is that clear, everyone? Right, so today we learn how to create another table, and how to create a query, and how to create a form, right? We are only left with report and some part of the queries. Query වල තව පොඩි කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙනස්කම් කීපයක් තියෙනවා. So those things will be there. අපිට පොඩි equation එකක් ලියලා query එකක් අරගන්න පුළුවන්. Right, those things will be there. Then after report generating part, only left with that. Then we are done actually with the result, right? So by next week, definitely we are going to end this session, right? So get ready. So week after, we are going to commence the grade 11 people. So when the term tests are near, we are going to do the revision, right? So until then, until next week, we are going to end the session from here for today, right? So thank you very much, everyone. Have a very nice weekend. I'll meet you next week for the very same time. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone.